Tonight, somewhere in the world, someone is standing over a grave they don't want to be standing over. They're dressed in black. They're holding flowers they don't know what to do with. And somewhere in the back of their mind, behind the grief, a strange question is forming. Why are we doing this? Why do we bury people at all? Why does it matter what happens to a body? The answer reaches back further than you probably expect. Much further. And it is stranger than any funeral tradition you've ever heard of. Let's start with what you think you know. You probably assume that burial, the act of treating the dead with intention and care, is a relatively recent human invention, something that came with civilization, religion, language, the development of abstract thought. That early humans, the rough, struggling, barely surviving ancestors you picture hunched over a fire, simply left their dead behind. Moved on. Because survival didn't leave room for ceremony. You would be wrong. In 2013, a team led by Lee Berger made a discovery deep inside a cave system in South Africa called the Rising Star Cave. They found something that should not have been possible. Fossils of a creature called Homo Naledi, a species with a brain roughly 1/3 the size of yours, arranged in what appeared to be deliberate burial sites, not scattered randomly, not dragged there by predators, placed, intentionally, in a location so difficult to access that the excavation required scientists small enough to squeeze through passages barely 20 centimeters wide. Homo naledi has been dated to somewhere between 236,000 and 335,000 years ago. Their brains were tiny by modern standards, yet they were burying their dead. That should stop you in your tracks. For decades, the scientific consensus was that deliberate burial required a mind complex enough to understand death, to fear it, to symbolize it, to believe in something beyond it. These were assumed to be uniquely modern human traits, traits that separated you from everything that came before. But Homo naledi was doing something that looked unmistakably like grief, without the brain you have, without language, without religion or scripture or philosophy, which means the instinct to care for the dead, to not simply walk away, is older than your species. And that changes everything about what you think grief actually is. The oldest undisputed human burial sites date to roughly 100,000 years ago at Qafzeh cave in Israel, where modern humans placed ochre, a red mineral pigment, over the bodies of the dead. Ochre is not practical. It doesn't preserve the body. It was chosen for what it represented: the color of blood, the color of life. Someone, 100,000 years ago, felt compelled to mark a body as sacred before the earth covered it forever. Neanderthals buried their dead too. At Shanidar cave in Iraq, the skeleton of a Neanderthal male was found surrounded by large concentrations of pollen. Someone, roughly 60,000 years ago, mourned a death with something beautiful. A 2020 reanalysis published in the Journal of Archaeological Science found new pollen concentrations suggesting deliberate placement was still the most likely explanation. Neanderthals grieving, choosing flowers, because something inside them demanded it. You are not the first creature to feel loss, not even close. Across cultures separated by thousands of miles and thousands of years, the same instinct emerges: the need to stop, stay, and mark the end of a life with intention. You are not the first creature to feel loss, and the instinct that makes you stop and stay and mark the moment, that was written into you long before language existed to explain it. Let me know in comment section what you think, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. See you guy in next video. Bye.